what start each of our runners decide to do, whether they do the traditional route up to meet Uncle, or whether they go south and find some bombs, whether they decide to start at the cathedral, I guess sanctuary is what it's actually called. And we're off. Ooh.
And we got the Water Tozen Sanctuary.
Well, that is some quick direction in this seed. We'll see whether these runners, it looks like KillerApp is doing the Houlihan Room route, while Zaphod is headed straight off to Kakariko Village.
Certainly looks like it. Now, the one problem is those flippers, KillerApp's not going to be able to do...
Oh, that's right! Oh, man. That is...
And he just realized it.
That's gotta, you go on autopilot sometimes. That's a strange thing to pull out of the very, very first chest in the game. Ooh, bombs.
Bombs from the crabs. That's always nice to see early on, so that way you don't have to farm for them.
So friendly. Huh. We'll see what Zaphod's gonna check out here in the. I missed what was in there.
Yeah, I couldn't see it either. He went up so little that I couldn't tell what it was. We got 20 rupees on the tree pole.
Wow. This is 20 rupees on the tree pole and bombs on the crab is exactly what you want to see at the start of the game. That is so friendly.
And the uncle just giving what little bit of love he has left.
Poor guy. Well, hopefully he'll be fine by the end of the game.
We have the lamp in Lost Woods.
Well, that is convenient. No dark rooms for this game.
Yeah, and that's certainly a lot of the early sequence breaks that these runners like to do usually involve fake flippering or going through dark rooms, and getting both flippers and lamp early means a lot of those sequence breaks aren't gonna need to be done.
Yeah, pretty much the rest of the sequence breaks I think we'll see in this game involve having fewer keys than the logic expects you to at any given time. But yeah, being able to get through dark rooms and being able to have those flippers is so convenient, and the fact that the seed is so incredibly rich might mean we see a trip up to Zora pretty early on.
That would certainly be a possibility. I mean, to your point, to the point earlier about Houlihan, with having the flippers, they're going to have to do. Usually, the one you would do is the bomb route with back of escape hole. So they're going to need power gloves before they attempt Houlihan again.
Yeah, hopefully those show up pretty early. They tend to show up in Sphere Zero, so they haven't showed up in Kakariko Village yet. We've got heart pieces, we got maps, we've got some money. And a small key to Misery Mire might be a revelation of things to come in this seed.
Well, and there's $300 in the back of Blind's Hut, so that Houlihan may not be necessary. We got the mirror in the tavern.
Well, that is convenient. Now with all those bombs they managed to pick up, making their way through Kakariko Village is going to be a cinch.
Absolutely.
So we got more money in the chicken hut. We're starting to get to the point where we don't need all this money anymore, which is surprising in Keysanity coming out of Kakariko Village.
Yeah, I mean, usually you do Houlihan because there isn't as much money as there is in normal Randomizer. We got Fighter Sword,
there we
5-arrow upgrade, and, well, 2 5-arrow upgrades, but I'll take that Fighter Sword any day of the week.
Oh, and KillerApp, unfortunately, coming up through the bottom, which is generally a good play to get those early on bombs south of the Grove, and then farm for bombs inside this little rat house here. Happens to, in this case, Zaphod was able to grab a whole bunch of bombs early on just because the luck of the draw on this particular seed meant bombs aplenty coming out of those crabs.
Mm-hmm. Normally the runners will take the south route to Kakariko because you can get bombs right in the south part of the Grove. But, in this one instance, the crabs had the bombs, so you could do the north route paid off to where you didn't need to do that.
Exactly. So where do you head after here? I mean, one of our runners is going from the south end of Kakariko up. Another one's coming from the top end of Kakariko down. Where do you go after here? Do you take...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I guess I want to hear what you think about this.
Well, so now, granted, I suck at this game. I am nowhere near where these 3-0 runners are. So, but normally, like, my route would be I do Sanctuary and Houlihan, then using the coming out of Houlihan to do Link's house and Uncle's tunnel, go through Kakariko, then do South Shore, and then from there decide if I want to do Eastern or Escape. And I usually try to keep a pretty standard route so I don't forget something that's obvious at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think with all this money and these flippers, we're gonna have to see the play down south. Let's see where Zaphod heads off to.
It looks like he is heading to South Shore.
Exactly. I think with those flippers, this is a good play. I mean, in general, there are a lot of situations, I think, in which fake flippering becomes a really good play, and you see people do it a lot. But once you're given flippers right out of the gate, and Zaphod's heading down there with full Zora money.
And especially... with having those flippers, once you go to Ice Rock Cave, you can then route in Hobo and Zora all together. So that's why I would definitely think this play to South Shore would certainly be a good play to do. You can route so much in.
Exactly. I mean, with that lantern as well and the sword, a trip up to Escape might be in their future as well. With the mirror, you can really route Escape very well. But definitely, I think this trip down to South Shore first is probably where the seed wants them to go. We'll see how things turn out once they get into the mini Boldorm cave.
Definitely. It would also be interesting if they get the Power Glove soon. With having the lamp, the Power Glove, and the mirror, the seed may also be pointing them towards Hera.
That is true. I do love seeing a very early trip up Death Mountain in Keysanity.
Alright, well, we got 5 arrows, $20, a compass to Turtle Rock. We got a map to Pod, and a little bit of love in the mini Moldorm Cave. Meanwhile, we have our first route divergence as KillerApp is heading up to Sahasrala's Closet.
Yeah, looking at all that garbage in the mini Moldorm game, you got to start thinking that the value must be in the water if they handed you those flippers.
And as our discussion about Hera was, we now know Green Pendant is Hera.
Interesting. There's our first pod key. We're going to need a few more of those over the course of this game. You can always pretty much guarantee a pod dip in this.
The money is certainly rolling in this seed, so for not doing early Houlihan, it's not going to cost the runners anything.
Yeah, that is incredibly lucky in Keysanity. You do not expect to see enough money to pay off the bottle vendor and Zora this early on in the game.
Absolutely.
Ooh, another key. Another Mire key. That's very interesting.
Yes. I actually heard something from Dr. Bobtastic in one of his commentaries he did a week or so ago, where he was looking through the code of the logic, and I'm just trusting him on this. But what he was saying was the way the randomizer is coded, what is in Sphere 0, you want to follow it treats those breadcrumbs with a higher weight than ones after the fact. So the fact that you're already getting 2 keys to Mire would hint to me that Mire may be important because it's giving you the stuff to get in there as soon as you can.
Yeah, you got to start thinking about a dip into Mire at this point. The fact that they've been given 2 Mire keys is also pretty telling. You don't need any Mire keys to actually go and fight Vitreous, but you need all 3 of those Mire keys as far as the game is concerned to get into the left side of Misery Mire. So this game might be wanting them to full clear that dungeon and full clear it sometime soon.
And the one thing to note is that even though we are saying that they don't need any Mire keys to clear out the dungeon, the logic requires all of the keys to be available for the dungeon to be completed.
Yeah. Yeah, runners at this level are taking those kinds of things into consideration as they plan their routes out on the fly, where the seed intends them to go and what the seed intends them to do.
And there's
Is that
that
the
third key.
Okay.
The seed is almost screaming at you at this point. Hey, you're going to need to go to Mire at some point.
Yeah, the left-hand side of Misery Mire is almost always garbage in Keysanity because you have to find all three of those Mire keys. But now I'm kind of thinking, maybe not. Maybe not this time. Huh. Okay, well, let's see what Zora's got. Hasn't been much in Eastern Palace yet.
Life lesson, love lesson, item lesson, key lesson, any other lessons I can think of?
That's a life lesson.
Just $20.
Hand that guy 500, get back 20.
That's like one for 25 return.
Not a great deal. What do we got here? Desert Palace small key.
Now that's certainly good to see because we've been hyping up Mire so much. You're going to need the flute and the Titan's mitts, and with having the mirror, that will also get you access to desert.
Yeah, that is interesting. I also absolutely love seeing the Desert Palace small key before desert. It's kind of an indication that you're going to be sent to desert at some point, and when you get there, you're not going to have to dip into it twice. Once to get those two chests that are on the right-hand side hidden behind that key. It's really nice to find.
Absolutely. All right, so we have KillerApp retracing Zaphod's steps through South Shore. I imagine with that sword, Zaphod's going to head into the front of Escape once she finishes the Uncle Tunnel.
Yeah, a sword and a lamp and a mirror make Escape a cinch. They are exactly what you want heading into Escape. It lets you get around, get into those dark rooms, and take out the guards that are in there.
All right, and that is exactly where Zaphod is heading.
So yeah, those early flippers did mostly wind up being a bust. We'll see whether or not that Desert Palace small key comes into play, and Misery Mire probably will come into play as well, but for the most part, it was just health and money. So this might be the right play up here to Escape. Oh, there's those gloves. Yeah.
They are, in fact, so bad.
They certainly are. So yeah, it does look like the game wanted you to head over to Escape pretty early on. And no question about it. It did want you to get those flippers so you could go and grab those keys. But it definitely also wanted you to head into Escape so you could grab that glove. And we'll see what else is in here.
We just got the map to desert.
Well, that'll be some good information as well.
Absolutely. Now, what's also interesting is that with the lamp, normally we would say if the runners would head into the dark room, that would be a sequence break, but because they have the lamp, the dark room in Escape is totally in the logic.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we're incredibly lucky, we'd see the Hyrule Castle key so they can complete this out, but that glove does let them get into the back of Escape without having to pass all the way through the sewers.
We have a small key to Ganon's tower.
It's convenient to have a couple of those, but not really necessary.
You really only need one, so that way you don't have to farm for the one key as you're going up the gauntlet. But it also depends on if you find the GT big key. If we don't find it and it's in Ganon's tower, then you're gonna need all the keys you can get to get through the basement.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, you know, the amount of times that an upgraded sword or silver arrows winds up in the first chest in the basement, and I don't have to go down there because I found Ganon's tower keys beforehand, is at least twice in my experience. So, Ganon's tower small key could be a blessing, could be a curse.
We won't know until we find that GT big key.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, now that they've got the glove and the lamp and the mirror, how long is it going to be before they head up to Death Mountain?
I would imagine pretty soon.
Yeah, at this point, you got to be thinking, what on earth is up there? Oh!
There's Titan's mitts!
Oh!
And the Master Sword!
Hello. All right. Well, a trip up Death Mountain may definitely be in our future very shortly. This is, if they find the Moon Pearl up there, this is going to be, well, Moon Pearl and something to get over to East Side Death Mountain. This is going to be a pretty convenient trip up Death Mountain.
Absolutely.
You know, Zaphod's heading up there. Meanwhile, KillerApp heading down to find all that delicious value in Escape.
KillerApp getting his triple bombs, and well, so he did the back first, and so now he's doing a death warp to go do the front part.
That's interesting. I'm curious if that was actually a death warp. I mean, he does have that mirror. It's not, you might just be refilling the old hearts.
Well, and it goes back to, to your point earlier about reflexes. What are those?
Oh, hello. Well, that's going to make this trip up the mountain even easier.
Absolutely. So anyway, to your point earlier, I think part of it has to also be, reflexes we were talking about, because normally you don't have the mirror this early, and so you're expecting to do death warps to get around Hyrule Castle, where it's easy to forget, I already have the mirror, I can just mirror out, I don't have to death warp.
Yeah, it's true. It's it's the same thing as finding that, okay, I was wondering, did he find the Moon Pearl as well? But no, he's just doing a map check while he's in the Dark World. We got a few crystals in there.
Yep, it looked like it was Pod, Thieves Town, and Ice Palace are all confirmed crystals, but none of them are the 5/6 ones.
Yeah, we got that incredibly useful Hyrule Castle map. Thank goodness we found that.
We got a big key in the basement of Hera.
Oh.
So, more indication Steve wants you to go to Mire. There's the Mire big key.
Oh no, are we gonna see a 6-heart Master Sword Vitreous fight?
I mean, I'm normally scared about a 6-heart Greenmail Muscula fight, let alone a Vitreous one.
This is giving me pre-anxiety here. I don't like that fight with a full row of hearts and tempered.
Zaphod using that Titan's mitts and the boots to go check King's Tomb.
And KillerApp gonna be ooh.
Someone get Phantom Rio in here, because that's gotta be Kane.
Well, there it is. That's boy, our misery mired care package is almost done.
All you need is a flute, and you can get in there.
We're not sure what medallion we're going to need yet, but it has to be.
So, yeah, the medallion's the other thing you need. I forgot about that.
You think it's flute in here? No,
How about the D?
Okay.
Okay, so now the seed's like, okay, yeah, I totally don't expect you to do 7 heart vitreous, so I'll give you the bow. That'll help you out.
Yeah. But I'm guessing we're not going to see the silvers before we make our way in there, or silvers on vitreous or something stupid like that.
Or in the big chest, maybe.
Ah, yeah. This is this is weird. You don't usually see a seed give this strong hints towards a late game Dark World dungeon this early on. And this is weird. I mean, we all wish we could have seeds like this, but it's 20 minutes in. We don't know where those trolls are.
Sonic picking up his boots.
That's
Or I mean,
appropriate.
KillerApp. I was thinking about the irony of the fact that Sonic needs boots in order to go fast, but that is actually KillerApp, who is using the Sonic sprite, and we have Zaphod using the Luigi sprite. We have a ton of sprite artists that do all of these custom sprites for this randomizer game, and definitely give love out to all of them that doing all this work so we can have a little bit of customization as we run through Hyrule all the time.
Wonderful, wonderful, folks. That was a pendant on desert, wasn't it?
That's what I thought I saw. I'm gonna check the restream here.
So some indication that we might have to head to Desert Palace, and yet it's just a pendant.
Yeah, it was a red pendant.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I mean, the seed's going to send us to Mire anyway, and they have that mirror while they're there, so they can pop in. And I mean, it's giving them the boots, it's giving them the small key. They can nearly full clear desert while they're there. Pretty much everything that you don't need a big key for, they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Zaphod's thinking, what's that bow for? And the answer he's pulled out is, why not head into Eastern? What if the big key is in there? Which it isn't, but it's not a terrible idea.
Right. Although KillerApp has already been here, so we know he's not gonna find anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Which realistically, all they would need at this point is an Eastern big key in order to finish off the Eastern Palace.
Yeah, so it's going to be curious to see what KillerApp decides to do once he gets his Misery Mire big key. There's not a whole wealth of options available to him right now. That Titan's Mist doesn't really open much until you have that Moon Pearl.
Well, there are 2 places left these runners can check. You've got Agina's Cave, which is normally a location you save until you go to the desert area. And with that Master Sword, they can check the first chest in Aga Tower. So I have to imagine one of those 2 locations has to be something, and it looks like that's exactly where KillerApp is heading.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame that at all. They are fairly comparable in distance to get to, but everybody hates going to visit old Uncle Agina in his cave. Just in general, don't visit old men in caves. What's he doing there? Why? Well, okay, actually, I can answer that. Things are not great in Hyrule right now, so probably going to live in a cave is not a terrible idea.
Probably. And Zaphod's right behind KillerApp heading up to Aga Tower.
All right, what do we got? There it
How about a
is.
Moon Pearl?
That is exactly what we were looking for.
So there's our Dark World access.
No, and this is actually good because we have almost guaranteed at this point that the seed is going to send them into the desert area. So the fact that they can route that cave in with everything else is pretty convenient. Zaphod has the same idea here, grabbing his moon pearl.
And KillerApp is going to, unfortunately, the only Dark World portal you can get with just the Titansmiths is this one here in Kakariko.
I mean, there is a lot of value here, and it is especially nice having the mirror making this trip, because there's a lot of things you can do. You can route in quite a bit simpler when you have that.
Absolutely. I mean, this is... in terms of the routing I like to do when I get to Dark World, this is the dream scenario for me right now, where you have Titansmiths, you have Mirror, you have Flippers. You can route almost all of everywhere except the north part of the Dark World. You can basically route and do everything in one shot. I love it when I get this set up.
Yeah, pretty much. And you're going to find either one of two things doing this route. Is you're either going to find that hammer, which is going to give you access to the rest of the world, or you're going to find 2 castle tower keys, and you're going to have to go fight Ganon. Let's hope it's not that, at least.
Well, I mean, we couldn't see what was on the lumberjack cave, but with having dark access, realistically, unless there's we got the blue mail in Skullwoods. But what I was trying to say was, actually, I just completely forgot what I was trying to say.
Things are changing so often with this. Who knows what's going on? All right, this is another convenience, is having that cane to get into the back of this room, so you don't have to deal with those Gibdos. Here we go. Luigi getting his nice blue outfit. We hardly recognize him. We've got, so yeah, both of our runners pretty much did the exact same set of stuff in the light world, wound up full clearing pretty much the entire thing, and now they are largely in sync in the dark world, both of them heading into Skull Woods and now getting our bumper check.
It looked like it was just compass. Okay, I remember the thing I was trying to say earlier with when we were talking about is AGA required or not. The thing is that unless we couldn't see what was on Lumberjack Cave, so we don't know for certain if that is required. But at this point, the only reason you would need to get up to AGA is if you don't have the hammer, and you would need to get there. But actually, now that I think about it, because they have the flippers, they can get to the east side of the Dark World without the hammer. So the AGA dream is pretty much dead at this point, as KillerApp finds Fisher Price My First Shield in the graveyard ledge.
Opting to pick it up, which I think is interesting. Not a lot of runners opt to pick that up, but it does kind of let you optimize things a tiny little bit better, movement in some situations, so it's probably worth the time to grab it.
And it's interesting that it's interesting how both of them routed it, because since they already did Flanktuary having the boots, doing these 2 checks of bumper and graveyard ledge, now that whole section is done. You don't have to go back there ever again.
Yeah, exactly. It's this is kind of the dream. Although I'm curious if Zaphod might be heading. Yeah, he might be continuing on to Catfish.
It certainly looks that way.
This is interesting.
And just money in the chess game. We had a question from our tracker, Sinhi. He noticed that I used the word Flanktuary. That's something I borrowed from our one of our co-commentators, Dr. Bobtastic. It's the locations that are flanking the sanctuary, hence Flanktuary. We got the big key to Desert Palace in Thieves Town.
Okay, well, a desert mire dip is looking more and more tantalizing as we go. Pretty much all we need left is the flute and some kind of medallion to get into Mire, huh?
Absolutely.
Well, I can't imagine that either of those are very. But you never know. Randomizer could decide to string them along for a while before it sends them to Mire.
KillerApp going to check. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is also one of my favorite moves, is being able to do those first 4 chests in Thieves Town with the mirror and just hop right out of there for immediate chests and then get out.
The absolute worst thing, though, I've had times where it's like, I've had 6 hearts and a fighter sword, and like, okay, I'm just going to do these first 4 chests, and then I'm going to back out. And then, oh, hey, vanilla big key chest. We're going to hide the Thieves Town big key in there. And it's like, ugh, now I got to do the rest of this, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, and the worst thing is heading in there with the big key, but no small key. Because you know that the game doesn't want you to finish that dungeon without that small key, and yet the chances of there being something good in that big chest is not that great.
And we just have a 10 bomb upgrade at the digging game. And KillerApp is going to head back up and go get Jeremiah the Bullfrog.
Yeah, this is exactly why you want those Titan's mitts and that mirror heading into here. The only thing they won't really be able to do is the hammer pegs and magic bat, but for the most part, this is sort of exactly what you want to see coming into here. So we'll see whether we got swordsmiths or if we've got just money counterfeiters, or what kind of dwarves we have today.
How about bomb dwarves?
Bombsmiths. I think that's a new one for me. I'm not an expert in this, but I don't think you make bombs by smashing your hammer into something. I don't think that's a good idea.
That's usually a recipe for blowing them up, actually.
Yeah, probably don't do that. It's going to be interesting seeing this purple chest so early on. This is something that a lot of people put off for quite a bit, if it absolutely can be put off. So seeing it early is pretty lucky.
Just got another compass on the Grove ledge.
Yeah. We'll see what old Stumpy's got for us. Seems to be money a lot these days, which is weird. You're stuck in the dark world. You're going to give some random hedgehog your money. You know, maybe hang on to that.
It's another pod small key. Well, and that's the interesting thing about this. Normally, you know, all the dark world citizens are monsters and deformed versions of humans, and yet you have a hedgehog. You think that's his deformed version. No, that's how he always is.
No, he's cool. I don't even worry about it. I think we got some red goo.
We got some Mountain Dew Code Red there.
Nice. My personal pedestal hype index is currently running pretty high, just as a warning. Because we're still missing that flute. I want it to show up soon.
Alright, well, let's see. Desert. In terms of desert, we've got everything we need for desert. In terms of Hera, we got everything for Hera. It basically just depends on what that third pendant dungeon is.
I mean, it might be in pod now that we got 2 keys and a bow.
All right, well, let's get some hype in here. We got $50, a little bit of love,
come on,
chivalry, and a small key to Turtle Rock.
Nothing is less hype in Hype Cave than the shovel. It's like you came all the way over here and now you got to go back and dig the thing. Well, at least we'll figure out which ones are our 5-6 crystals.
Swamp and Eastern. So that pretty much leaves us with either Skullwoods and Mire to be the last crystal and pendant.
Interesting. So Pod and Eastern, both crystals. Lucky they found that bow early on.
All right. With that shovel, KillerApp is heading back here to the Grove. He's going to mirror out.
I am generally a fan of the play of going back, even though it didn't turn out this particular time, I guess, but you really hate leaving that hole in your routing as you head off to what I suspect will be Pyramid and Palace of Darkness.
Mm-hmm. But it was just a little bit of love anyway. But, you know, to your point, you don't want to, if you can do it, you don't want to just leave it out there.
Yeah, it's going to be gnawing away at you in the back of your mind. It also makes that hype cave value just a little bit worse. That shovel turned out to be nothing. So yeah, this is one of those ways that you can do. There's a bridge with hammer pegs on it blocking your way up to Palace of Darkness. But if you've got that set of flippers, you can just go around it.
Absolutely.
So I think this is our pyramid check here.
All right, so I have a strategy question for you.
Yeah.
Actually, never mind, because I forgot we don't have the hammer.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'll ask it anyway. But for all intents and purposes for this race, it's null and void because they don't have the hammer yet.
Sure.
All right, you have 2 keys to pod. You have the bow. In theory, you can clear out everything except the Vanilla Big Key location in the Harmless Hellway.
Right.
Do you go into pod and clear everything out?
In my opinion, more often than not, this is in my opinion more often than not, those two statements don't mesh well together at all. In my experience, I guess, looking at Palace of Darkness in Keysanity, it winds up being a forced double dip situation quite a bit. Or even if it doesn't wind up being a forced double dip situation, it also winds up being faster to go in and get whatever it is that the Palace intended you to get, and then leave, go do other stuff, and then come back for a second dip. If you're doing a third dip in there, that's probably problematic, but the first two, I mean, with 2 keys and the bow, there's so much of this place you can clear out. There's got to be something good in here.
Exactly. Now, the one problem, as I mentioned earlier, without the hammer, we got half magic there.
That's
without
some
the
value.
hammer, you can only get to the first 2 ones, but KillerApp is, yep, he's going to go that route. Now, for those that may not know, the reason why we bring this up is because if you can do the hammer jump, you can avoid a key, using a key to get to the dark maze. And if you go the bow-locked route, which includes having the hammer to hit those pegs, then you can avoid opening the front door. And at that point, you only need 4 keys to full clear pod.
Yeah, pod's kind of a complicated dungeon. It's probably, as far as keys and routing goes, it's probably the most complicated dungeon in the game. Because there's all sorts of weird routes and decisions that you can make based on how many keys you have, what items you have, whether or not you have the bow, whether or not you have the hammer, whether or not you're able to hammer jump, whether or not you're comfortable doing dark rooms. It's just, it's complicated.
Yep, and we got some Mountain Dew there. KillerApp forgetting he doesn't have the hammer.
Gonna try to shovel those things. I think.
But he's gonna death warp again. Dude, you got the mirror. Just mirror out.
Yeah, this is. I'm not sure what to make of this, I guess. And that mirror does look pretty similar to the bombs, so you never know. I mean, it's in a completely different position, but yeah, this is strange.
So Act the Bucker asking with Actabaka was asking if we know if KillerApp knows the hammer yump. I honestly don't know. It's one of those things that I've learned in this tournament to help with routing, but I don't know if KillerApp knows how to do it or not. I was just bringing it up from a strategy standpoint.
Yeah, this is odd. So,
oh, we got the fire rod.
Well then, I was about to say that chest, it was not in the logic at all. It's definitely not in the logic with only 2 keys, and yet, kind of paying out. But he's got to be careful with the rest of this because he's got that fire rod now, and it's absolutely sequence broken. But it does a lot for him. I mean, it can take him up to Skull Woods, but anything he gets in Skull Woods that's locked behind that thing is, you know.
So our tracker Sinhi is bringing up a good point. With 2 keys, that chest is in the logic.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
Or
that's what I thought. It's you're supposed to have, I think in the current version, it's like there's 3 doors back there that require you to have 5 keys because it's a choice between those 3 of which one you're going to open. You can open this one or that one.
Okay. Actually, so there's a chat is actually saying that it's not actually in the logic because the logic accounts for the fact that you could open the wrong door. That you could have gone up to where the back portion is, as Zaphod is doing right now. So I guess that would mean if that means anything, there's probably going to be more pod keys in our future.
Yeah, it's interesting. In this case, we're seeing now Zaphod is demonstrating this. He took that key and is going to the back instead. We're going to see what this play brings.
Yeah, he's probably going to kill Mothula first and then go back for that one chest. Meanwhile, we had an Agate Tower key in the back of Pod that Zaphod picked up. So that can get you that one chest in the dark room. And with half magic, I mean, KillerApp is just mowing down these Gyptos.
So we are starting to run out of things to do. We only have 2 big keys, and both of these players are
Meanwhile, Zaphod is setting up a hammer yump here.
Yeah, we'll see what that brings. Yeah, both of these players are doing sequence broken tasks, so you kind of got to start thinking, like, in the stuff that the game does think that I can do left, what on earth is progression, and where is it at this point? Because what's left in progression? It's pretty much just it's Agina's cave is in progression, or is logically available right now, and not a whole lot else.
I'll answer your question here just in a sec. KillerApp is falling in the hole, and he's going to be taking the trip to Mothula's House of Kebab, where we skewer you as opposed to the meat.
Oh yeah, Chad is absolutely right. Bottle Kid hasn't been checked yet. Bottle Kid is started. That
was a very nice kill on Mothula for just a 5-bomb upgrade and a crystal. So that means Mire's got to be the other pendant.
Yeah, that was fast. Master Sword fight. Sorry.
Interesting to note, this seed has been screaming at us to go to Desert and Mire, but those are pendant dungeons, not crystal dungeons.
That you are absolutely right. So, Hype Cave Index wound up being a bust, but Pedestal Index is now a thing.
And to your earlier question about where are places they can go, with what they've got right now, they can get into Swamp. They can only check the first 2 chests in Swamp, but they can get in there.
That is true.
It would be a heck of a route because you don't have the hammer. You have to do it from the north, but you can get there.
Yeah, we are running out of We are running out of logically accessible stuff to do.
And Zaphod is going to go ahead and take that Aga Tower key and go check that second chest.
Yeah. And it looks like KillerApp is probably doing Sick Kid.
I would imagine.
I think that kid's got the flute. That's my thinking on this. Or he's got a single rupee. That is also absolutely a valid thing.
You know what's sad is I thought for a minute you were saying I think he has the flu, and I was going to make a comment like, well, the flu is going around. And then I realized you meant the flute.
A small... Oh! Oh, that's dirty. That's... Send you into Palace of Darkness to grab that key to Castle Tower to send you back into Palace of Darkness to open one more door.
And meanwhile, KillerApp is making the play on Ice Palace. Now, without that hammer, he can check some stuff in here, but he can't full clear it.
Yeah. And, I mean, no keys either as well. This is in multiple ways a sequence-broken dip into Ice Palace that could turn into something really amazing. We don't know. I think Zaphod's making the play over to Agnes Cave. I think that's what's happening here. Because we're running out of stuff.
Interesting thing with the boots, I would have, when they came and did the lunchbox, I would have done Agana at this point, because with having the boots, it wouldn't take that long to run over there, get it, and get back to the portal to go continue on the Dark World path.
I think, there we go.
Stop! Hammer time!
Oh, of course it was. Sphere Zero hammer, too. Like, a perfectly accessible hammer right from the start of the game. And here we have it 46 minutes in.
And Zaphod is going to use that hammer to get up to Death Mountain and check everything up there, now that the whole east side of Death Mountain is open. What's also interesting is that, you know, we were talking about the fact that if you know how to hammer you up, you only need 4 keys to get through Pod, but both of them ended up burning one on the front door, so now they're going to need at least 5 to full clear it.
Yeah, that is exactly right. I'm curious how long it'll be before KillerApp winds up finding that hammer. Because you gotta, you know, it's fine to sequence break from time to time, but you gotta remember what sequence broken and what you broke out of sequence to get there. Because, you know, this hammer can't be in here for KillerApp, I don't think.
And that's the thing that's going to be most causing the most problems for KillerApp is the fact that because he's doing this dip into ice where he can't finish it without the hammer, this is going to be a forced double dip when it didn't have to.
Right.
We got Quake on Turtle Rock.
It's interesting. Hopefully we'll see our Misery Mire medallion as well.
And there's a vanilla Ice Palace key. We got Silver Arrows and Super Bunny Cave.
And another single rupee. Exciting. I mean, there's every chance that KillerApp could find...
Well, there's that Quake!
Well, now I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just
so much going on right now.
Oh, that's great. That's this game is ridiculous. All right, well, this might be a slightly more convenient trip up Dark Death Mountain for him. We'll see, I guess.
let's see what we got. We got a small key to swamp.
Oh,
right.
Hello.
Now more is open up in swamp. You still can't clear it without the hook shot, but you can certainly do more there now.
Yeah, that's and you know what? If this was a seed that had a vanilla or even French vanilla hookshot inside Swamp Palace, it would not be the first one this tournament, or even the first one I've seen this week.
All right, we got another pod small key and a piece of heart. That's
Oh,
interesting.
boy.
I've never heard that reference before, French vanilla, but it makes total sense.
I think that's what people are calling it these days when, it's not in the right chest, but it's in the right place.
I like it. Even though I'm not a coffee drinker, I like it.
Oh, finally a big key.
To
Oh,
ice.
no.
We got the ice rod.
Oh!
Big key to Eastern.
Oh!
Oh! This is why
Ooh.
people call this cave the new hype cave, because wow, there is a lot of hype there.
Oh, man. Yeah, there's all that progression. Killer App's got
Killer App getting
Yeah.
he's rage slashing.
not happy about that.
Not happy at all.
A perfectly accessible Sphere Zero hammer when you're running around all over and at 51 minutes you finally decide to head in there. Yeah, you got to be upset.
Alright, so Zaphod coming back in and finishing Hookshot Cave now he has it. I was wanting to say earlier that it was interesting routing that Zaphod did to basically go to Turtle Rock and then with the mirror portal here and do all of the routing of both Light and Dark Death Mountain this way. But with having finding the hookshot where he found it, it actually was that routing really is paying off for him.
And Zaphod doesn't know it, obviously, but I believe he can logically, with that Ice Palace big key, and, as soon as he finds the Fire Rod in Palace of Darkness, he can logically full clear Ice Palace because of the location we found that small key in there, and the fact that he has that cane.
And it looks well with that hook shot. This now means Swamp Palace is full clearable, so that is exactly where Zaphod's heading.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that pays out. Some people feel like Swamp is where all the value is, and some people, myself included, just hate this dungeon and all of its garbage. So we'll see what it brings today. I mean, sometimes it's a whole lot of nothing, and then sometimes it's 3 required items. And, you find the flute in the back of here, or you find some required medallion on left side.
Killer App getting his silver arrows, and Zaphod is heading into Swamp Palace.
Yeah, so that first chest was indeed a bust. You needed that key to get in deeper here. Good gracious. How long is it going to be before we see that flute show up? Or will we ever see it show up?
Well, there's another Turtle Rock small key. That is a good point. With Mire being a pendant, that means that the flute is not required to full clear.
Yeah, I mean, the game could be setting up for the ultimate troll of Ganon's Tower Big Key on the pedestal with required items to dip the dungeons, like the flute being in Ganon's Tower itself. I don't want to jinx this thing, but I'm just saying it's a possibility.
We won't know until we get a little further into this race.
I'm certainly curious what this swamp play is going to be. And if I could just say, I think that the Luigi sprite, where when he's in the water, he gets those little gloves on his, the swimming goggles. I think that's absolutely adorable. It's the funniest thing in the world to me.
It's so Luigi.
This is our sprite designers are just, I think, the world of them.
Absolutely.
All right, that is the one thing in here that could be the troll. Is this place is full clearable right now, except for that big chest in Swamp Palace, and the game really doesn't care about that Swamp Palace big chest as far as being able to beat Argus is concerned. You can full clear this place just fine without that big chest.
What was interesting, I had my race last night, and that was actually the thing that made the difference. Was I cleared swamp, but didn't get the Swamp House big key, and I got 07 crystals, but didn't have the GT big key. But along the way, I had gotten the Swamp House one, and so I'm like, all right, you know what? It's not going to take that long. Let me just do this one gamble on the Swamp Big Key before I head up to Ganon Tower. That was exactly where it was.
Oh, it's the absolute worst. And there's no reason that the game can't force you to double dip Swamp Palace, which is one of my least favorite things. Sending you in there just to leave and get the Swamp Palace Big Key, just to come back and get some required thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got triple bombs.
One more for this left side play to be successful. Ooh. Oh.
Yeah, another pod key. So that would give them enough to full clear the dungeon now.
That would indeed. Left side swamp actually genuinely paying out for once.
Now, we still need the big key before we can get it full cleared.
Yep. Although there's no reason that the big key couldn't be in Palace of Darkness itself. Or useless maps now that we know where everything is, unfortunately. Or fortunately, Probably more fortunately.
Now, interestingly, KillerApp is heading into Turtle Rock.
And this is interesting.
He can't do much because he's only got one key, so he can really only do he can only really do the 4 locations up to the chain shop room. So this might not necessarily be as big of a gamble as at first blush.
For a second there, I thought that was a big key. But no, it's just a similar color. I got myself excited. I shouldn't be doing that.
Nah. And there's the 6th pod key. All right, we got all 6.
Well, this game absolutely wants you to head back to Palace of Darkness. And yet, it hasn't given them that big key yet. Well, maybe it's on Argus.
Could be. All right, well, here we go. Zaphod is making his way into Argus's Tavern and Crab Shack.
Ooh. 2 whole sets of bombs. Wow.
I mean, pretty much unless there's something in Chain Chomp, this play is gonna bust out for KillerApp.
We're seeing those Argus slow strats. Kind of with the Master Sword, not really a fast fight. Until you get to this point, I guess, if you have silver arrows in the bow.
And down he goes. Brian, we found your cane. Please come to the Lost and Found in Swamp Palace to pick it up. And there's the big key to Swamp and Turtle Rock.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is going to be very interesting when Killer App heads into Swamp, which I gotta wonder, that's probably where he's headed right now.
Oh, this could be very interesting because remember that Quake medallion is sequence broken. Killer App grabbed that out of sequence and then did Turtle Rock out of sequence and now can go to Swamp Palace with that big key.
Well, that may, you were talking about the game forcing a double dip on Swamp. That may be it. It may be that, hey, go to Swamp and get all these pod keys without getting the big key. Go back to pod and get the Quake medallion and the fire rod, and then go back. Then when you get to Turtle Rock and get the big key to come back to Swamp and get the whatever's in that chest.
Disgusting. Well, now I'm super invested in this. I want to know what's in that big chest. If it's a big key, I'm going to cry.
It looks like Zaphod's heading back to Pod, but I wouldn't be surprised if he mirrors first and finishes out Eastern.
Yeah, true point. I mean, if that big key to Pod is in Eastern, this would wind up being really amazing. Is he going to mirror out? Absolutely he is.
Yep, he's going to do Eastern first, and then I would imagine, head back into Pod.
Yeah, this absolutely makes sense. I certainly hope he does, because that's, he'll find his fire rod, which will sort of send him in the right direction for the rest of this.
Someone asking if the tracker's wrong with the Desert Palace big key. Nope, they got it. We saw them both get it.
Yeah, I believe it was in New Hype Cave. Is that what we're calling it?
No, that was where the Eastern one was. I don't remember where the Desert one was, but I know we got it at some point.
There have been a bunch of big keys lately.
Alright, just a little bit of love in the big chest. Alright, moment of truth. What's in this big chest?
This has got me on pins and needles.
Alright, he's gonna do the south one first.
I forgot. It's like a little too into this.
This is what's so good about randomizer races is we know what the tension is. Killer App doesn't know what he's about, what we're seeing.
Oh no! Oh,
this is a GT small key.
Oh my heart!
All that tension for nothing.
Oh my goodness!
All right. Meanwhile, Zaphod is heading into Armos 6 Guys Burger and Fries.
Here we go. This fight takes no time at all with Silvers.
And we got Tempered Sword on Armos.
Nice. Very nice.
So, already having Tempered and Silvers, that means Ganon's going to be pretty easy to take care of.
Yep. Especially having that before you get down to the bottom of Ice Palace. And especially since we have pretty much almost guaranteed a Misery Mire dip at this point. Well, actually, they do have silver arrows, which kind of negates that. But definitely the Ice Palace finish is going to be a lot simpler with Tempered as opposed to Master. So this is exciting. Zaphod gonna grab that fire rod.
There it is.
Probably has to be thinking about Turtle Rock at this point, because when Killer App went in there, he didn't have that one extra key that would have taken him further back.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so we know Zaphod did the hammer jump here earlier, so he's most likely just going to do harmless Hellway. Oh, he is also going to get the big chest. Oh yeah, because he still doesn't have the big key. I keep forgetting about that. So pretty much this is going to be it.
Oh.
There's the big key to Skullwoods.
The seed is killing me. Keeps, It's like, if that was the big key to actually just straight up Palace of Darkness, I don't know what I would have done. This is a non-required triple dip of Palace of Darkness, unfortunately. That earlier dip could have been avoided with a not-so-simple trip to Agina's cave to find that hammer.
So you mentioned earlier, so now we had all this tension about what the Swamp Palace big chest was, and now we're seeing Zaphod head to Skullwoods, and now we're going to see what the Skullwoods big chest is.
Well, this is another one of those items that sort of evades runners. Depending on when they wind up getting that big key.
Just a map.
Oh, the
map
actual
of Skullwoods.
Well, fantastic. Great. Thank you, big chest. Well, I hope we see a trip off to Eastern from KillerApp in here, because having that tempered sword is going to make life quite a bit easier. Yeah, I would definitely agree. It sounds like it. Ice Palace. It's either Ice Palace or making a trip a little bit further back into Turtle Rock, but I don't think that's the play. I think the seeds saying go to Ice Palace.
Especially because all of you've got everything to full clear Crystal Ice Palace. Like, I would do the Crystal Dungeon. I would do that first.
Yeah, I mean, Ice Palace is going to hand Zaphod that Quake medallion, and possibly, like, we didn't get to see the rest of it because it was a dip into Ice Palace without the hammer. So there's a few chests that are now available inside Ice Palace that we haven't seen yet, which could very well be another Turtle Rock key. We don't know.
And actually, it looks like that's exactly where KillerApp is heading. He's going to do ice now.
Man, here we go. This is going to be interesting.
Now, KillerApp was the one that already did Ice Palace. So this is his second dip in there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we're going to see. I mean, the nice thing about this is having that key going in. You shouldn't have to do Ice Palace bomb jump, although we might wind up seeing it anyway, because I think a lot of runners wind up going on autopilot and just doing the bomb jump anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because really at this point you just need the two chests in. You just need the two chests over in the hammerlock portion, and since you've got the cane and a key, you can't avoid the Ice Palace bomb jump, and then just you've got everything you need to get there.
Yep. There are two keys to Ice Palace, and one of them is for a room that you never need to go into cane, and that you can't get to without using the first key. So, one key and a cane will do it.
Meanwhile, Zaphod would... I was about to say he was going to go to Swamp, but that's exactly where he just was. So, I'm curious. This might be... Actually, I have no idea where he's heading now.
Yep.
Oh, wait! Eastern and Swamp were the 5-6 crystals.
Oh. Ooh. Oh. Well, this is interesting. Yeah, Chad is right. Since Killer App has already done the iced tea room, bomb jump is faster in this case.
Well, that's exactly what he did.
So if you haven't done iced tea room yet, then getting over there is, I think, a little bit faster without having the bomb jump. But in this case, yeah, absolutely dropping down into that hole and going straight to the boss is the faster route. So we get to see these hammer-locked chests, 2 of them.
All right, we got a map to Mire and a small key to Thieves Town.
Oh, that's
so once
good
we
stuff.
once we get the big key to Thieves Town, we'll be able to full clear it.
Yeah, you absolutely want to see that small key before you see that big key. Otherwise, you're hoping that small key is in there, or you're hoping that big chest isn't necessary.
Mm-hmm. And pretty much there was nothing in those 2 hammerlock chests.
Well, that's unfortunate.
And Zaphod is going to be right behind Killer App into Ice Palace. Now, to note, this is his first trip in there.
Yeah, so we're going to see the full 1 key, big key routing into here. Well, now I'm really curious to see what's on... well, I guess there's this big chest as well. Nope.
Pretty much all that's left is what's on Cold Stare.
Yeah, Cold Stare is going to wind up being interesting. And to note, the fact that Killer App never went to Eastern Palace means he's coming in here with Master Sword, which is not as friendly as what Zaphod's going to be able to do with the Tempered.
All right, well, Killer App is making his way into the Cold Stare Creamery.
Yeah. Moment of truth. I should mention, with half this is not anywhere near as difficult a fight as it would be without
Although
that.
Killer App didn't put Cold Stare in a corner.
Interesting. He's out of fire rod shots, but one of them is already down. And I mean, taking out that first one's the hard part.
Yep.
Well, he's got to be careful.
Though. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, well, I think we're both terrified for the same reason.
Exactly.
You do not want to see a death to Cold Stare. Getting back down there is not fun.
And down he goes.
Oh. Oh!
Turtle Rock.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, would you like to take a second trip to Turtle Rock that you can't full clear yet?
Well, with any luck, maybe there's another key to Turtle Rock on Laser Bridge. You never know.
Well, you wouldn't be able to get the Laser Bridge with only 2 keys, though.
Well, not logically. The logic expects you to have 3 keys getting there.
The vanilla big key. I forgot about that. All right. Well, looks like Killer App is going to head up to, I would assume, Eastern and Pod at this point.
Yeah, this is the move. Head up to Eastern Palace. Get your Tempered Sword. I don't think there was really anything else of note in Palace of Darkness, was there? We pretty much just found that fire.
We were talking earlier about how much the seed was screaming at them to go to Mire and Desert, but I mean, now it's like the seed is screaming at you to go to Turtle Rock, because Pod had the means to get in and get the fire rod chests, and then Cold Ice Palace has the big key. Like, the seed is telling you to go to Turtle Rock now.
Yeah, it feels like so long ago.
What's interesting though is that Mire and Desert could still be in play depending on what's in Turtle Rock. But we're far enough along now that in terms of go mode items, realistically we've got everything. we're waiting on the Pod Big Key, the Thieves Town Big Key, and the GT Big Key. So we're already in item go mode at this point. It's now just a matter of the keys we're missing.
Yeah, and those things could be anywhere.
Oh, I forgot Quake was in ice, not in pod.
Yes. Well, that's got to be a relief seeing that vanilla small key there. Lets you make your way through this a little bit easier. Well, I have to imagine Killer App's thinking after this is going to be head to Turtle Rock, even though there's not going to be a whole lot. There's not going to be a whole lot he's going to find here that would give him any more indication to head to Turtle Rock, but there's not many good plays outside of that.
No, not at all. And Killer App deciding to forego continuing into pod. It'll be... I imagine he's probably going to do Fat Fairy here next.
I'm so surprised that we haven't seen Flute. It's been so long. The game was like, here's everything for Desert and Misery Mire right out of the gate. And then, oh, by the way, can't get there. I feel like it's got to be in Turtle Rock. The game's going to send us there at some point.
We shall see. I mean, we've checked most everywhere. It's now, I mean, Turtle Rock pretty much is the play. And Zaphod making quick work of Cold Stare. Gonna get that Turtle Rock Big Key and his 4th crystal.
So Zaphod, with all that he's cleared already, is probably going to be our first runner to head up to Turtle Rock, make that... I mean, for him, it's the first dip in.
I mean, for all of the different route divergences these runners have done, I mean, they're basically at the same point right at this time. It's just, you know, probably a few seconds... Zaphod's probably a few seconds ahead of the pace of Killer App, but that can get evaporated in a hurry.
Yeah, it depends on whether Killer App right now, like it depends on what to do right now, because if he decides he's going to go straight to Turtle Rock, then these runners are both incredibly close together. Looks like probably not, though. Maybe
Probably
heading up to
back
Palace
to
of
pod.
Darkness. Yeah. Or doing Catfish.
We're also going to get a Spike Cave check.
That is, we do have the capability to do that. Killer App going to grab some health. A couple of bottles
There's
of
the
blue.
red ring.
Yeah, not much of note inside Spike Cave, so it sounds like Turtle Rock is the play. And he's got to be thinking that. 2 keys, big key, right medallion, both rods, cane.
I mean, the game likes to troll sometimes and put a... Well, we've already seen a vanilla pod key. It also likes to sometimes do a vanilla Turtle Rock key.
Yeah, it certainly does. Those are always weird to see. Oh, did he block him?
Oh, dead rocked.
I hate those things. All right, Killer App, where are you going? He's not going up Death Mountain.
Maybe, Peg Cave?
Oh, that's true. One more thing to check before heading up Death Mountain. I'm curious about this now.
Alright, and Zaphod is heading into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, the results of both of these plays is going to be interesting to see, because if there's something underneath those hammer pegs that winds up being important. I mean, if there's a third Turtle Rock key under these pegs, this is going to be unfortunate for Zaphod.
Just $20.
Oh, more disappointment in hammer peg caves. All right, I think Turtle Rock has to be it.
Yep.
Well, we'll get to take our first look at Mimic Cave, plus see what is beyond. I mean, the other question is, I mean, you definitely don't open that big key chest. Because there's probably nothing in there. But also, it genuinely does seem like this game is forcing a double dip of Turtle Rock. Which to my mind makes it seem like it's more likely that there might be something in that vanilla big key chest. Probably not, but...
Well, we shall see as they head in.
Alright, we got KillerApp following close on heel. And won't have to... We'll get to do the first portion of this dungeon a little bit quicker, since KillerApp has already been in here.
And with KillerApp having already done the first part of this, he's not going to be too far behind the pace of Zaphod.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. Are either of you going to open that door? Nope.
Nope. Zaphod isn't. A Toffee is asking what the 3-0 standing is for. So, we are currently in round 4 of a 5-round Swiss stage, where the runners are matched with someone of a like standing. After the 5 rounds, there will be 7 5-0 racers. They will be automatically set to the playoff bracket, and then all of the 4-1 runners will be in a 1-round knockoff, and the winner of that will then get into the bracket with the other 5-0 racers.
All right, we got our Mimic Cave check. This is interesting. What? Well, I mean, whatever progression is, it doesn't necessarily have to be in here, and it's not.
Just a big love.
I mean, I don't hate seeing those, but it's not quite the same as progression. KillerApp about to get the same disappointment. And for all the diversions between our runners, they also have the same number of hearts between each other. So they made largely the same number of checks on things, I think.
And there's a small key!
There it is!
We were talking about a French vanilla Turtle Rock key.
Oh. Those are the worst. In the big chest, too? Like, really? You're going to do that?
That's like the second time I've seen that in a race. A vanilla Turtle Rock key in that chest.
Yeah. So this officially turns Laser Bridge into not just a possibility, but almost certainly where our progression is hiding.
And with the Brian Cane, they'll be able to actually do it. The logic says they either need Brian Cane, Cape, or Riot Shield. We got a big glove. We got red mail. We got a small key to Skullwoods.
Here we go.
Big key to Pod.
There it is. So silly. That's 2 more chests that are open now.
But Pod is a crystal, so you will be able to finish that off. So realistically, in terms of go mode, we just need the GT big key and the Thieves Town big key.
Oh. If there is absolutely nothing in Misery Mire or Palace of Darkness, this is going to be one of the stupidest, biggest fake outs I've ever seen Randomizer do. It's
I think you mean desert.
Or yeah, desert. I'm sorry. Because it's given them everything to full clear the entire thing, and then just not sent them there at all.
Yep. And both runners at the same time are in Stony King's Grill and Chill. Sapphod's already through the first phase. All right. Just 5 rupees and crystal number 5.
Oh my goodness. All right. So what do we got in Palace of Darkness?
I mean, there's really only 2 locations left, the big chest and Helmasar.
Huh.
But, I mean, to your point earlier, like, we're 2 big keys away from go mode. Like, it pretty much is going to come down to what if there's progression on one of those 2 things. Because if it's the Thieves Town big key, I imagine they're going to do Thieves Town, and then the only thing really left there is the GT basement. If it is anything for any of the pendant dungeons, then things could get real interesting real fast.
Yeah, if we see Flute back here, then suddenly there's a mountain of stuff that just opens up.
But to your point, it would be the biggest fake out, because it's like, here's all the stuff for pendant dungeons early on. Oh, except the one thing you need to get there. And it's like, okay, I just need 1 big key and I'm up to Ganon's Tower. Oh, by the way, here's the one thing now to get into all those pendant dungeons.
Just tantalizingly out of reach. Well, this is where we're seeing our runners converge, because I think they've pretty much done all the same checks now, except one of them has more stuff to do in Palace of Darkness than the other one. I don't remember which was which. I'm starting to lose track of which of them is full cleared dungeons and which of them hasn't.
Well, I mean, at this point, they've got... I mean, both of them are going to have to go back to the big chest, and then... So, if KillerApp didn't get everything, he's going to be near to go get it. Zaphod setting the hammer jump back up to get that big chest.
I want to see Flute in here. That's what I'm rooting for.
Oh, just missed.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you set down 2 bombs?
I think that
That's
was an
kinda-
accident.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. An earlier one on a different pixel might have thrown him off. It is a double pixel perfect trick to do. By that I
We
mean,
got it. And we got literacy!
oh, well, that's not as bad as flute, but still.
It starts you down the path of the pendant dungeons, though.
Oh, that's interesting. All right.
You know what it also means?
Another trip up Death Mountain.
No. What can we check now?
Oh man. Oh. Oh man. Oh, but when are either of them going to head back to pedestal? That's with all this fresh stuff that they have now to check. Well, I guess.
I mean, here's the thing. Unless Helmassar has the Thieves Town big key, where else can you go?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And Sarah Zelda asking if the pedestal can have the GT big key. Yes. Any big keys or small keys, any dungeon items for that matter, for the crystal dungeons can be on the pedestal.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm thinking like, at some point, this game is going to send them to Misery Mire. At some point, it's going to do it, and we're running out of stuff that could be in Misery Mire, and now the game's sending them to Desert. So odds of something being on the pedestal, pretty high. Yeah, as long as you've got big keys kicking around. This is one of the big things about Keysanity is as long as you got big keys kicking around that are not pendant big keys, and that those big keys are required to get to the bosses of those dungeons, a head is just never dead because there could always be a big key on there.
Yep, and Zaphod is into the Helmastar Steakhouse where we see her and tenderize you as opposed to the steaks.
Oh man, yeah, you got to get at that juicy green glowing meat inside. Here it is.
And down goes Helmassar.
Yep. Once you're at tempered or butter, depending on the position that Helmassar decides to get in. Oh, come on.
Just swag that.
All right. Looks like we're heading to desert.
I mean, honestly, I'd probably do the pedestal first. I'd probably go there and figure out, is my fate pedestal? Because that is going to determine, that's going to tell me, all right, I know I'm doing the 3 pendant dungeons now.
Yeah. And I have to assume that they're going to try to route in Bombo's tablet on their way down to desert. Because it's right there.
Mm-hmm. And Zaphod looks like he is going to check Bombo's first.
Yeah, exactly. Not checking that pedestal first. I think this is an okay idea. I mean, desert really isn't that difficult to full clear, and if you have to head over to Landmos and beat the boss, so be it. It's fine. It's not quite as great if you're heading into Misery Mire. Actually, go Itrius.
All right, just a little bit of love.
Yeah, desert's the play.
And just a small key on the desert ledge.
Do we still need any of those? I mean, we might need to get to Hera Basement. You never know.
I mean, where was Pod Big Key again?
Oh, I forget. I should be writing these things down.
No, it was on Laser Bridge, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah, if it's a Turtle Rock key, that could be interesting.
There still is the vanilla big key, the vanilla big key chest.
That is absolutely true. So that desert small key didn't wind up finding much of anything. That being said, though, I believe that key is necessary to finish the dungeon because the game accounts for you being able to go into the back and steal a key. And
yeah, that is true. Just a big love. Oh, that's where the Saint cart is. There's the flute!
Oh my goodness. Finally.
Oh, this is gonna be quite the troll if that's all the progression we find. Alright, it's just Lamos. If Lamolus doesn't have a big key, now we're headed to Mire.
I mean, yeah. This is.
So now here's how even more trolly this seed is. All right, well, one sec.
Oh,
it was a Turtle Rock. All right.
Oh, come on.
Here's how trolly this seed was. We kept saying all they needed was flute, and they could combo desert and Mire. So instead, the seed gives you the book to go into desert, and then get the flute to then go into Mire.
Yeah, this is this is Keysanity. This is
Keysanity.
Oh my goodness. Well, so here's here's my opinion on it, I guess, and I'm not a 3-0 runner, so I don't claim to have all of the best ideas. But it seems to me like now that you have that flute, you immediately go back to Kakariko Village, you check the pedestal, you activate your flute, and then you head to Misery Mire before doing Landmos, because knowing what's on the pedestal means knowing what definitely have to beat this boss, and you're going to Mire anyway, so...
Well, and that's the choice the KillerApp is making. Zaphod finishes off Lammelus's Euro truck, and there's a big key to
Oh! Well, never mind.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Swag Duck National Anthem.
Hands over hearts.
And the goose is loose for KillerApp. So how ironic is that? We were just like, oh yeah, the play is certainly, you go to, you go turn in the flute first and then go back there, and then it's like, no, you beat Lammo and get the Thieves Town big key.
Oh. So... about that Ganon Sour big key.
That is all that's left for go mode.
Normally I think to myself, boy golly, it's got to be in Ganon's Tower. Speaking of which.
There's another GT small key.
Can't even get in there.
What was it? I was looking at chat when you did the check.
It's Bombos.
Of course.
Of all things.
Oh, let me guess. Bombos is going to be here in Checkerboard Cave.
No.
No, just a piece of heart. the troll of this seed giving you all the Mire stuff, and then you can't even get in there.
It's literally like I don't remember the last time I've seen 3 Misery Mire big keys before going into Misery Mire. Oh, this is okay. Well, what do we got? What do we got here in Thieves Town?
Well, so either you're gonna have Bombos here. Well, even if you have Bombos, Zaphod's gonna have all 7 crystals. So I imagine you check Ether Tablet while you're on your way to GT, and then probably check the basement. Another small wood, small key. I just said small wood, small key, didn't I? Oops.
That's all right. All right, yeah, that big chest in Thieves Town is very, very much looking like, very much looking like the possibility.
All right, 3 more checks here in Thieves Town. Just $50 there.
All right. Moment of truth. I mean, this is these moments of truth are happening more and more often here. Oh.
Just a big 20.
All right, come on, Blind. What do you got? What do you hang? Oh. I mean, this is the preferred strata heading up here instead of heading over and having to re-pick up that big block. But yeah, sometimes you just get knocked off.
Mm-hmm.
Those little jellyfish can be unkind.
All right, Zaphod's heading into Blind's Bistro.
Here we go. If this is Bombos.
If this is Bombos.
This is... Oh, man.
All right, here we go.
No,
Just a compass.
it's round, but...
All right. That is crystal number 7. All right, so there are 22 chests in the basement of Ganon's Tower, and normally in a regular Keysanity, we would be guaranteed to have the GT big key down there, but in this case, not necessarily. So we usually like to play a game here where if you guess the number of where the big key is from 1 to 22, or in this case, if you think it's somewhere outside of GT, guess 0. Fantalis, any thoughts on where you think it might be?
Oh, I am absolutely a 0. Like, there is... If the Ganon's Tower big key is in Ganon's Tower, I will eat my hat.
All right, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna go tile room number 22.
If we don't have to dip Misery Mire in this seed, I don't understand this game anymore.
All right, well, here we go. Zaphod's making the play for the basement.
The good thing is the seed hasn't even pretended to send them to Tower of Hera.
I wonder if... Okay, the way Zaphod is routing this, would he possibly do Turtle Rock Vanilla Big Chest first?
That's a good question, actually. Maybe.
I mean, he's gonna use that portal to get there.
Yeah, I don't see him going in there before going into Ganon's Tower, but... possibly after going into GT?
Yeah, probably after. He's heading right for Ganon's Tower. And KillerApp takes care of Blind, and we'll have his 7th crystal.
Oh boy.
All right, here we go.
This has me on pins and needles.
Right side first. Number 1, a GT small key. And Ether, number 2.
I mean, Bombos is in here. It's gotta be in here. It's either that or it's in Turtle Rock on that one chest.
Or Hera. It could be in Hera. Oh,
that's true.
Zaphod's choosing to do Tile Room first.
That's interesting. It's weird.
Zaphod's frozen a couple times. We gonna miss it here.
Well, we'll see what KillerApp does. Because I know most players like to head left first, just because that's where all the chests are. But see if KillerApp decides to check that ether tablet, which Zaphod decided to skip over.
Okay, apparently there wasn't anything in the GT Piggy wasn't in Tower Room, otherwise he wouldn't be still going.
Right.
Alright, so that's 3.
It wasn't Bombos either, apparently, so rip that dream. Alright, KillerApp is checking that ether tablet.
Alright, number 4, Piece of Heart. Number 5, $300. Number 6.
Looks like I'm having hat for dinner. What was all this Misery Mire crap about? What?
What? So hard.
Man, I got trolled and I'm not even playing this game.
I mean, I got trolled just as much too, because I would have swore Mire was going to be involved in this at some point with all the Mire stuff we were getting.
I've never seen 3 Mire keys in this, let alone in a 100% not required at all Misery Mire. Oh,
KillerApp getting wall mastered. Oh, and now he's gonna do left side instead.
Oh no. Oh no.
That is gonna be killer for KillerApp.
Oh, I appreciate the pun, but also this is rough.
I wasn't even trying for a pun there. Well, we'll at least get to see what else was down here. We got a bunch of compasses.
Yeah, I bet we're gonna... You know what? I was gonna say, I bet we're gonna see that butter sword, but...
Well, we got 3 compasses in that one room.
Nice. Now we can finally determine whether or not we successfully full cleared all the other dungeons. Well, I guess we can play the how far in are you going to see Bombos guessing game.
Zalfod making quick work of Lambo 2 with the silver arrows. Oh, the Staphos blocked the cane blast from hitting the switch.
Oh, what a jerk. You know, I'd say they're my least favorite enemy in the game, but truly my rage just seethes for dead rocks. So we'll put them in a close second.
There's a Hera big key.
All right. Well, Pedestal Dream is very dead, but we can at least go get it now.
Well, we still haven't found Bombos yet.
Oh yeah. I mean,
you know what'd be even worse with this Mire bait and switch is we never find Bombos. It's in Hera.
oh, I don't. My. The seed has been very unkind.
Alright, Zaphod's into Trolldorm 2.
You know, I bet it's on those top 4 chests in Ganon's Tower, and we're just never going to see it, because why would we?
Nope, it's true. Alright, down goes Trolldorm 2. Bob is still alive for us. Nope, the mushroom's there!
Well, hey, I mean, we'll actually get to know in the credits what was on what was in the witch's hut.
Alright, and Zaphod is into Aga 2.
All right. Let's see how this goes.
There's the cape and a fire shield. 2 hits for Zaphod.
It absolutely was not downstairs.
3. That's 4.
All right.
Killer App is
Got him
going to
set up for a double here.
Oh, the Killer App is going to kick himself when he sees this GT big key.
Yeah. That's
And down
never
goes
what you want
Aga
to see.
2. All right, at 1 hour and 52 minutes, it is time for the big pig.
Yeah, this is likely. I mean, barring. I again don't want to jinx this, but barring anything horrible happening here, this should hopefully be an under 2 hours seed. Despite all the ridiculousness. Actually, the ridiculousness really was that it set you up for some dungeon dives that you just weren't going to have to do. So some time was saved on the fact that the game just never sent them to Hera or to Misery Mire.
Alright.
Alright, I think that's it for our first phase. You're into second phase Ganon.
Yep.
It is 12 sword slashes in the first phase, 12 in the second phase, and then you just gotta chop him 4 times in the third phase.
Mm-hmm. And he missed getting to phase 3.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Alright, now
He's
we're into
got it.
phase 3.
And with red mail, Ganon hugs are still a problem, but getting hit by those fire bats is not a big deal. You can kind of tank them.
Just gotta be careful. All right, we're on to phase 4.
All right, let's see those. One hit right there, and then I suspect he's going to do some... Oh, he's going to...
He got the torch glitch. 2.
Interesting choice there, and this should be a double.
3,
there
4,
he goes.
We have bacon.
Very nicely done in the 4th phase.
Very nice indeed.
All right. With that, he's going to pop his way up into the Triforce room, and we have a winner.
We have an official SRL time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 51 seconds. Spam those GGs in chat.
Here we go. Looks like Zaphod's going to pop in for an interview. In just a moment, we'll pull him in. Get his thoughts on this hot mess.
And joining us in chat is Zaphod Beeblebrox IV. GG and congratulations on your 4-0 victory.
Thanks.
So, we have one question inquiring minds want to know. How do you feel about the fact you got all of that Misery Mire junk and then never had to go there?
I know, I was thinking the exact same thing. You got all of those keys early on, and then all the flute was just so late.
I mean, we still don't know where Bombos is. We have no idea. It's probably in hair at this point.
Oh, that's the medallion for it?
Yeah. So, can't even get in there.
Yeah, KillerApp was right on your tail, and then he went right side as well as you, but got wall mastered in the torch room, and at that point decided to go left side as opposed to continuing on right, and so he did all of the left side of the GT basement before getting...
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was very nearly a close race up Ganon's tower. There was a lot of diversion in your... But, yeah, for the most part, it wound up combining together in a whole bunch of different areas.
It's certainly... The seed certainly... While you had some possibilities for divergence, in the end it basically funneled you into a linear seed.
Yeah, I noticed.
So, was there anything that, other than the Mire stuff, was there anything that was particularly trolly or particular of note that with this seed, from your thoughts?
First thing that comes to mind was the hammer location. It took me a while to find that.
Oh.
Yeah, you were not the only one who took a little while to find that. So that was probably one of the biggest trolls in this whole thing, is the location of that.
Yeah, that hammer being in Sphere 0 in Aegina's Cave certainly came back to bite both of you.
Yeah, so you're heading into week 5 with a 4-0 record. How are you feeling about that?
Well, to start us, I did not think I would even get this many wins. I'm feeling kind of, excited, I guess.
Well, it was exciting to see you guys play.
Yep.
Fantastic moments out of this.
And we were one of the things we were also talking about, Zaphod, was, you know, with that whole Mire bait and switch, was the seed gonna force you to basically do all the crystal dungeons and then all the pendant ones? It was just a piece of heart on the pedestal.
Yeah, when I saw Ether there, I was thinking, will I have to go into Mire afterwards to get the big key from there? Because I've seen it happen in the past.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're suspecting, like, Bombos has to be in Tower of Hera somewhere. That's your only way to get into Misery Mire.
Speaking of which, I never found that Hera big key. Where exactly was that? Was that in the Mire area?
No, it was in the left side. The Hera big and small keys were in the left side of GT.
All right, that makes sense.
Oh, that was almost a triple on Ganon.
Yep, but KillerApp takes down Ganon, and we have bacon for him.
Very so close to having both of our runners get a sub 2 time for this. But unfortunately, that's not going to be it for KillerApp. Finishes done with a time of 2 hours and 6 minutes. Or 2 hours and 6 seconds. What are minutes? What is time? I don't...
This has been quite the see, but we do have KillerApp23 joining us. GG.
Hey, GG, guys. Congrats, Zephod.
Thanks.
How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. No, there were some ridiculous fake outs in that seed that none of us were prepared for. I mean, starting with the hammer location and heading Ganon's tower.
Yeah. Oh, I figured I was at least behind because I went into Ice Palace without the hammer.
It was actually a little bit back and forth. I mean, having that Quake medallion kind of helped a little bit, but it was tough to tell.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, you guys were actually really close, and you weren't far behind Zaphod going into GT. It was just that when you got wall mastered back to the front of GT and you went left side, that unfortunately was the difference in the race.
Oh.
Yeah. Not entirely sure whether whose gauntlet was faster. I'd be curious to look at that, but yeah, it was neck and neck for quite a bit there.
Yep. Another one of those full clear seeds, I guess. I don't know.
No, we got the item count coming up pretty soon on Zephod's side, so we'll see how that turns out. Just as a side note, while I'm thinking of it, this has been an exciting race. It's been ridiculous to watch. Big thanks to both of our runners. Big thanks, huge thanks. I'll put it in chat here, but our tracker, Sinhe, I think is how it's pronounced. Something close to that. Huge shout out to or Sin. There we go. For tracking this. It's been absolutely ridiculous seed. Thanks so much for doing that. Thanks to both of our runners for putting on quite a show here. Go give them a follow if you've enjoyed what you. We'll put the link in here. Here we go. Yeah, go give both of them a follow. These are some of our top runners that we have in Link to the Past Randomizer, and they always put on it.
Exactly. And let's also give a follow to my co-commentator Fantalis as well, to my self-checks Refi. This was quite the race to watch. So any final thoughts from both of our runners?
Good luck to my opponent. Definitely deserved to be 4-0, I guess. Good job, and hopefully I can win next week.
Well, one last thing I do want to mention is that the flippers being the very first chest kind of ruined a lot of the Houlihan thing I was planning to do at the very start.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention to that. I jumped in the water. I was like, oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Happens
nobody expects to
sometimes.
see that. All right. Well, with that, we've got more stuff going on speed gaming this weekend. There's, oh goodness, where is the schedule for it?
While you looked that up, Broadaxe was asking if there was any good VODs of a pedestal seed. I just put a link in there of a race that I commentated earlier in the week that was Master Flute. I would definitely recommend you guys, if you want to see a good pedestal seed, that was one that I co-commentated. In terms of the 3-0 races that we have today, the other one was going on as we speak. Over on ALTTP Randomizer 1, we have a race between Caladrius and Lightyear that's happening at this moment. We got a race at 4 between Ozapone and He's Just a Boy. We have a quad race at 5 between Kern, Jay Coper, and then Rywek versus Azazas. On ALTTP 1 at 6, we have PH at Home 666 and Fox Zero. 7, we have Limonality versus Brewers Fan JP. 8 o'clock on ALTTPR 3, we have Geselschaft and Looney Cloud 87. And a quad race on ALTTPR 4 of Lyra and Walking Eye, and then Final Fan and Freda. So a lot of Zelda Randomizer going on here this afternoon.
Yeah, and if you want to keep kicking around speed gaming, 5 p.m. On Speed Gaming 2 here is the Final Fantasy 1 Rando League, which you haven't gotten enough of your fix of weird randomized games from the past with Link to the Past. There are a lot of randomizers out there. We'll have Super Mario Brothers 3 randomizer happening later on Speed Gaming. This is all Eastern time. Sorry. There are a lot of randomizers out there. It's pretty amazing. So stick around. There's more fun to come.
And with that, once again, thank you to Zappa, Beeblebrox the Fourth, and KillerApp23. Thank you so much for putting on a very entertaining race. Another shout out to Sin, our tracker, my co-commentator Fantalis. I am Jex Refi, and everyone have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, later, everyone.